Hey, what's up everybody? It is DaYDreaMz. Welcome back to the channel for another video here in Rise of the King. So guys, today we're going to do a little bit of a guide on troops, troop layering, and troop formations, and any information I can tell you about the troops here in Rise of the King. So guys, before we get into the troops, the layering, the order in which they march, and all of that, you need to know that there are 8 troop types, 2 in each building. So we're going to go over the troop types now. So, we'll start at T10. You've got the Swordsman, which is the King's Guard, and then you have the Pikemen, which is the Elite Axe Warrior. So you got Sword, Pike, Pike, Sword, Sword, Pike. And when you look at the stats on all these troops, the attack, the HP, and the defense will change when you upgrade them, but you'll notice that like the attack range, well, on these it doesn't matter, but a lot of it will stay the same. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next ones. We'll go to Cavalry next. And you've got the Knights, which are assorted cavalry, and then you've got the Cavalry Archer, which are cavalry which shoot arrows. So Knight, Cavalry Archer, Knight, Cavalry Archer, Knight, Knight, Cavalry Archer, Cavalry Archer. Let's go to the Archers now. You've got Short Bowmen, which have a range of... Oops, wrong one. You got Short Bowmen, which have a range of 5, the T10. Then you have Long Bowmen, which have a range of 8. So, Short Bow, you got Long Bow, Short Bow, Long Bow, Short Bow, Short Bow, Long Bow, Long Bow. Let's get into the Siege, which are very different from each other. So, you can see the Trebuchet and the Cannon. Those are like the T10 and the T8. So you got Trebuchet or Cannon, and then you got the Siege Towers and the Rams. So Trebuchet Cannon, Siege Tower Ram, Trebuchet Cannon. You can see they got the attack range of 10, and these have the attack range of 1. So you've got Cannon Trebuchet, Drill or Ram or Tower, Catapults. Basically, you got the Catapults and the Rams. So you can just tell which ones are which. The range attacks are the catapults. So, catapult, ram, catapult, catapult, ram, catapult, ram, catapult, ram, catapult. Okay, guys. So now that we have the troop types identified, let's go through the order in which they march. So let's go ahead and start with the Swordsman. The Swordsmen have the lowest attack range, and they're actually first in the layer. If you go through their skills, you can see they're a defensive troop with high health. And you can see that they restrain enemy archers and bowmen, decreasing their damage dealt and increasing their damage taken. So, these are a very good defensive troop, but on the offensive layering, guys, these are your meat shields. These are what you want up front so that less of your other troops die. So, let's say you have 10,000 of these up front, and let's say 2,000 die. Would you rather lose 2,000 swordsmen or 10,000 of all the other troops? I'm telling you, the HP on these guys, the hit points, 615, really tanks well when you're attacking and will keep you safe. Now, remember, this is the same troop type as the T7, so if you don't have the T10, just throw the T7 in its place, and they will act as your meat shield. You can see that they have the exact same 3 skills. Next up in the layer, a lot of people think it would be the Pikemen or the Axemen, but it's actually the Rams or Siege Towers. You can see they also have an attack range of 1. You can see they are just like the frontline swordsmen. They have a high HP and defense, and they're very good on defense, but they move very slow, but they also have the best troop load in the game, so remember that. So that's like your T9 and your T6. Okay, next up, we're going back to the barracks, guys. This is your Cavalry Counter, your Pikemen, your T9, your T8 Pikemen, T5. You can see here, restrains enemy cavalry, decreasing their damage dealt and increasing their damage taken. Increases the chance of a critical strike, greatly increases spearmen attack damage. That's what they are, is they're spearmen, or pikemen, or halberdier. That's what they are. They are cavalry counters. So this is what you're going to want to mix in there. If your enemy is using a lot of cavalry, you're going to want to mix a lot more of these pikeman type troops into your layer. So that's like your T9, T8, and your T5. 5. Next up in the layer, guys, we've got the Knight. Also has an attack range of 1, so it fits in there perfectly. This is the defensive cavalry. Guys, remember there's a defensive and offensive of each troop type. Now, that doesn't mean that they're better on one or the other. It just means that that's what their stats are primarily geared towards. So, a lot of your defensive troops have the higher HP, the lower range, and they're just there to, you know, withstand the attack so that your offensive troops can do more work and kill the enemy. So, you can see it increases the chance of slaughtering long-range enemy troops. Greatly increases marching speed. They are the fastest troop in the game. Increases the chance, or right here, increases the chance of dodging incoming damage. So they're very good against ranged attackers. Now, theoretically, guys, this is supposed to be one of the best things against the cannons and trebuchets in the game, which are the strongest troop by far in the game. So you're gonna wanna beef your Lancer or your T8 Elite Lancer. You're gonna want to beef them up. Your King's Lancer, your Elite Lancers, or your T6 as well have heavy cavalry, which are the same thing as a Lancer, just a weaker, smaller version. Alright, next up in the layer, we have the Cavalry Archer. You can see that they have attack range of 4, slightly lower than the short bow. Increases the chance of slaughtering long-range enemy troops. Adds an attack bonus during resource tile battles. Greatly increases marching speed. So guys, right here, you'll notice something. These guys are an absolute monsters on tiles. If you're trying to win kill events, and you're attacking enemy tiles, you don't like your enemy, you're trying to win the kill event, you want to get points, you're going to want to mix a lot of these T9 and T7 Cavalry Archers in your lair. I've been doing this for years, guys. Cavalry Archers work very, very well on resource tile battles. So make sure you're mixing them in on your lair, especially on resource tile battles. You don't need as many of them on a castle attack or a rally. But on resource tiles, it does help to add them in. Alright, next up, guys, we've got the Archers. So, we've got the short bow Archer. You can see by the attack range kind of how this lair plays out. Now, the first 3 or 4, the ones without much range, they're kind of hard to guess, but after that you can just tell by the attack range what's coming up next. So you've got the King's Ranger, restrains enemy spearmen, so they are a spearmen counter, greatly increases attack speed. They're a fast attacking archer, and they can be very good, especially you have to, by having these in your lair, you're protecting your cavalry, which will then counter their trebuchet or cannons, because these kill the enemy pikemen or halberdier. Okay, next up in the lair, right by the King's Ranger. And by the way, if you don't have King's Ranger, you can also use the T8 Elite Elven Ranger. So next up, guys, is the Heavy Bowman. You can see here, second longest attack range in the game of 8. Increases attack. Greatly increases bowman attack damage, increases the chance of a critical strike, increases firing range. So they have a range of 8, guys. These are not a high health unit like the King's Ranger. They're a lower health unit, so the King's Ranger protect your heavy bowman. If you don't have the heavy bowman, no worries. The elite bowmen are the same thing, just a lower tier. They still have the attack range of 8, and they're a very good troop. And you don't need a lot of them, because they're ranged troops, so they're not going to really die much. You're not going to lose many of these. So you don't have to train a lot of them. You're going to have to really focus on more of your frontline troops when you're training a lot. And your backline troops, which are your main, going to do a majority of the killing in your lair. So, let's go to the final troop in the lair, guys. None other than the 10 range trebuchet or cannon. You can see here, greatly increases attack damage while also reducing attack speed. Adds an attack bonus when laying siege to an enemy city. Guys, when you're attacking an actual castle, like not on a resource tile battle, like an actual castle, not on like a throne, but just like hitting someone's actual individual castle, there is a bonus with these troops. That's why they are so good in both rallies and individual attacks on castles. Greatly increases firing range, Eagle Eye. And you can see that they have a very high attack, 139 attack on the trebuchet. So they are just a very strong troop. If you don't have the trebuchet, the cannons and the heavy cannons are both also very good. Or if you're lower level, the armored catapult will do the job. So that's the final troop in the lair, guys. So now that we know all of the different troop types, how they work and how they synchronize, so what kind of lair are you going to set up? So basically, I don't have all the troops to show a lair, but the bread and butter of your lair are going to be the cannons and the trebuchet. Like I will use, say I got a 90,000 march. This is a bad one here. That's just for like random hitting. Let me just move a bunch of this stuff. So I would use almost half of my lair to fill up heavy cannon, and then you're just gonna kind of create a lair that's gonna protect the heavy cannon. So you don't need too many spearmen, like 5k. I don't use siege tower on offense. There is a use for them, but they slow your march down too much, and I don't want my march to be slowed down, so I do not use them. But with the axe warrior or your infantry, you're going to want to use a couple thousand of them at least, because they are going to tank for the rest of your troops to do the damage. So that's about how I will set up my lair, and then I'll put about 10,000 short bow. The elite lancer, I try to do a lot of those, about 15k. I think that they're really tanky, and they can counter the enemy's ranged units like the trebuchet or the cannon. So I use a decent amount of them. Elite spearmen, to cut through the enemy cavalry, I'll use about 9-10,000 of those as well. Siege tower, I will use maybe in a throne or on defense, but they are a high HP unit, but they're not really good enough. For a 90,000 troop march, I'd probably use about 3,000 of the swordsmen. And then just add some of your lower tier troops too. Like I've got some T6 knight, some T7 knight. If I had more of them, I would add more. But then you can also add, well, I've got a lot of troops not in my castle right now. So I've got 32,000. I want to have about half my march. There we go. Perfect. So 51,000. It's a little over half my march. So that is about like a lair I would use if I'm trying to do an attack on a castle. Now, don't forget, guys, you have to set it up how you have your equipment and how you have your skill points. So right now my skill points are in development, but with this lair I would put everything into war machine and infantry, and then anything I have left over I would put into cavalry. And remember, guys, I always go into infantry HP over defense because I feel like it's more well-rounded. So that's just a quick little like guide on how troops work in the game. It's not really an expert layering guide, but more showing you guys how the troops work, what they're designed to do, and the order in which they march through the game. A lot of people don't know this stuff, so I had to make a video on it. Thank you guys so much for watching. You already know it. Make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button before you get out of here. I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright? Peace.